option for you. I'm going to go to them and I'm going to go over my strange little supplies. The weird thing about Kandinsky, the way we do it, and I taught a summer camp for 10 years, and it was a musical thing. It was like Discovery Arts Camp, and they had music, they had art, they learned songs that was theme. Every week was a theme, like the sound of music. And so then we would do art that kind of went along with that. We might do the hills, you know, beautiful landscape of the hills, or we might do my favorite things and do pictures of that. So some of them was like a musical, high school musical was one of the themes, and I thought, oh, okay, how do I make that into art? Well, we did Kandinsky's. And so these are the ones from Art Masters, but the Kandinsky's kind of came out the same because it's called like abstract music. And how I did it, I didn't give them restrictions, but on Art Masters, how we're supposed to do it, you should have a 6x9 piece of white paper. You should have a black 9x12, which is going to be your mounting paper. So for this one, this is where Kandinsky's face would be mounted on the back of that. So that's going to be your black mounting paper. That's where Kandinsky's little artist strip would go. So have them do that, put their name, flip it over, set that aside. And then they're going to have their art plane. This is their working plane, like point and line to plane. That's going to be this. And then you're going to have a colorful, it could be whatever, turquoise, hot pink, magenta, whatever colorful, same size as this. And what we're going to use this for, it's going to become a template, and it's also going to be our backing. See the little edges, how they've got these fancy little colors sticking out? That one doesn't, because it's got a different background. We did something different because our scrap paper wasn't the right size. We did something different with that one too, because I didn't make restrictions. What this is going to be for, they're going to fold it in half like this, like into a taco, I guess, shape. Not the long way, but like this. They're going to fold it in half, so they have a little square thing. And they're going to cut out a little window. Fold it in half, you're going to cut in on that side, so you've got like a little frame. That's going to be your little frame. And you have masking tape on your desks or tables, because what you're going to do with that little frame, so that you can see this, I'm just going to do opposite right now. You're going to put the colorful frame on your white paper like that, and then you're just going to tape two little pieces. All you need is just like a little tiny piece of tape. Oh, actually, you know what? I have it to show you right here. Ta-da! This will go onto the white piece of paper, just like this, so you can work within this square. So this is going to be where you're going to do your work, inside the Kandinsky picture. He was all about exploding the boundaries, so I don't know why we contain it, but that's the way Art Masters does it. So this is what you'll use your little tape for. You're going to make a little frame, tape that on there just with like a little bit, and you're just going to work with your little design, this little stuff, right there in the middle. Because if you have abstraction, it's hard to balance your composition, so you need a little white around the edge to keep it contained in the middle to balance it. Kandinsky didn't, but we're doing it that way, because otherwise they all go over the place. So this is how you're going to do it for the upper grades. You got that? And then you're going to think about musical instruments. It's going to be all about the music. Abstract music. Fun little shapes that they can do. Now, I don't know if you have this or not. He was all about lines. He said he felt that lines would express things. Horizontal lines, boring. Vertical lines, boring. He loved diagonals. That almost means like it's making sound, like a big sound thing, which makes sense, like an old Victrola with that type of a horn. The sound comes out the big space. This one was very simple. Your little frame that was yellow that you did your work with, once you've got your little design drawn on there, for instance, simple little keyboard and a little drum. That's all it was. He liked to put little checkerboard things. He would do curly lines. He wanted it to sound like you were hearing something when you looked at his art. This one is like that. Then once you are finished with your little design, your pen, and you're going to color it in with colored pencils or crayons, some of the spaces. And every time something like overlaps, like any time a little shape overlaps the other, change the color. So it should be all different. Like this one's got all these different little colors. It's like a weird sort of an S, I don't know, something with a little sound coming out. Here's a little banjo type one. The drums are easy. Two circles together, that's when you're going to use your templates too. For him, he's got templates as well that they call for. Simple, simple, simple. 6x9 piece of white construction paper. You've got your 9 by 12 piece of black that we talked about, 6 by 9 piece of bright, whatever color your bright paper is, which is going to be the background, and also your frame. Like in my case, it's yellow. A small piece of scrap construction paper, which is going to be actually to put your chalk pastel on, so any kind of a scrap piece of paper is fine, doesn't matter. A pair of scissors and glue, hopefully the kids will have that. A fine tipped black marker, a 3 or 4 ounce cup and a 1 ounce cup, and like I said, we've got little cups back there, those are fine, that's all you need, just 4 cups with different size circles. A set of colored pencils. Don't worry about the fluorescent that it calls for, it just messes things up and it causes trouble. A set of colored paper chalks. We have the little chalk pastels, I think that you've got their drawing chalk. And be careful with those because they are dusty. So what we're going to do with the scrap paper that we have for that it calls for, how we do our stain in the background, we're actually going to just scrub a little bit of color onto the scrap paper. Then you're going to dip a Q-tip into it and apply it to your picture. So you can kind of see how they look. So that's like the organic part. Some of the shapes are too. And then with your little frame, like my yellow one, that framed my picture, when I go to mount it, I'm going to take it off of there, of course, and I'm going to mount it so that it comes out like that. So just the little edges of this is all that you're going to need, and the middle part of it is going to become your scrap paper too. So that actually became the background for this little picture. And as long as, for balancing, sometimes they don't get like, how do you balance a picture with just looking at it? If you can hang it sideways, upside down, any which way, and it still looks good, then you know it's balanced. And they kind of say that it helps to keep that little picture in the middle. Now, once you take your frame off, that's when you're going to do your, your chalk stain. So first you're going to draw your picture, and then you're just going to go around the edges, leave some of the spots white for contrast, but you're just going to take the color and just make like little cloudy shapes around it. All that's going to do is just make it look more interesting. But that happens after you take the little frame off, so that it doesn't get messed up. And then it goes behind it when you mount it. Does that make any sense? That part of the instructions does make sense in the guide. So just read over those, kind of do that. Simple little designs. Now they made a cute guitar one that was really simple as well. They just used the cup, and they did one way, then they did it another way, then they did it another way. So it looks like a wavy line of a guitar. They added some lines, diagonal lines like Kandinsky loved. You could even have them add a little musical note. I think, yeah, my son did that. He put a little musical, he made this when he was in the 5th grade. There's a funny little guitar that actually looks a little too much like a guitar. He was supposed to put 2 circles together and make a guitar. But very simple. You can do a keyboard just by a little triangle and add the lines and the little ebony keys. Just whatever you can think of, musical instruments. And you might even have a little discussion with them beforehand and just say, does anybody play an instrument? What instrument do you play? You're going to draw that to make it super simple, because they're like, how do I draw a horn? Or how do I draw a bass? Or how do I draw a guitar? You don't have to. You can put 2 circles together, or you can make an S, just like that one, and then put lines through it. Looks like some kind of a bass or something.
I don't know if any of you use the smart boards in class, but sometimes to get the kids to give you an example, like I play guitar, and then you could do exactly like you're saying. Well, what shapes are in a guitar? It's like it looks like an 8, or there's circles, or there's lines for the strings, and then you almost could deconstruct that, and then say, okay, how else can we arrange these? You know, these simple lines, so it doesn't look so stiff,
and
right?
Yeah, they have like a banjo. Make it into an oval with lines going through it. That's all you need. Or like a triangle with lines going through it. That's one of those little triangle type ones. A French horn, triangle with like a curly Q thing on one end of it. In fact, I'm going to have these up for the kids, which is why his name is on a drum, and he's got a horn and a horn there, because he was actually a very gifted musician, not by living, that's what he didn't do for a living, but he was gifted and talented that way, and so were his parents. So I'll have